And Governor Baker's March 23rd, 2020 revised guidance on order by the governor prohibiting assemblage of more than 10 people. This meeting will be conducted virtually and provide for remote public attendance to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted, and all effort will be made to permit remote public attendance of this virtual meeting via technological means in the manner specified. And if available, via public broadcast of the meeting by Malden Access Cable Television on public access television channel. Public access will also be provided by posting draft minutes and/or a transcript, recording, or record of the meeting on the City of Malden website at www.cityofmalden.org as soon as practical after the meeting. We have two hearings tonight. One is 326 Commercial Street, which will go first, and the second is 11 Highland Avenue at 1113 Highland Avenue. First thing we'll do, and if we could start with Lisa. Lisa's going to participate on 326 Commercial Street, and Charlie Ferguson will participate at 113. Start with Lisa, if you could. You go through the roll call.
Visitor planning board. Planning board.
Patrick Fitzgerald, planning board.
Diane Tuhak, planning board.
Chuck Iovan, planning board.
Michelle Romero, planning.
Arthur Bush, planning board. Pat Hayes, planning board.
Henry Susi, planning board. Kenneth Newton, planning board.
I will also ask that members of the board, please speak loudly so that the members of the audience can hear us, and try to keep the paper shuffling to a minimum. We had some complaints last meeting that there was some rustling of papers. Unfortunately, between the reports and the plans and different things like that, there's going to be some of that, but just try to be cognizant of it. And for the members on the Zoom call, when you get activated, please start off by giving your name and residential address for the record. And then you can go in either to your presentation if you're a petitioner, or you can go in favor or opposition if you're speaking at public hearing in those portions. The next thing I'd like to do, Ken, if you could read the 326 Commercial Street notice, that'd be great. Thank you.
Malden Planning Board will virtually remotely hold a public hearing at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, September 23rd, 2010. On the petition of 326 Commercial Street Associates Limited Partnership, seeking a special permit under section 12.034, chapter 12, revised ordinances from 2008. Wholesale and distribution use of the property known as the number 326 Commercial Street, Malden, Mass, and also known as City Assessors Parcel ID number 059-230-021.
Thank you, Ken. Is the petitioner present on Zoom?
Yes, Brian Cafferty at Combined Properties, 295 Canal Street here in Malden, for the property owner, 326 Commercial Street Associates Limited Partnership.
Thank you very much. If you'd like to go into your presentation, you can do so now.
Terrific. We are seeking two related special permits for the property. One is for wholesale and distribution use in an industrial 1 district, and the second is for off-site parking facility in an industrial 1 district. The wholesale and distribution use is for SRS distribution. We believe it's consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, that it's in the interest of the common good and won't adversely affect the surrounding area. We also believe it will improve the traffic on Commercial Street by relocating SRS from their existing space on Commercial Street that's inadequate for their operations into a larger facility with room off-street to load and unload trucks. We also believe it will eliminate the traffic hazards that are currently associated with the deliveries they've been receiving from their suppliers. The second special permit we're seeking is for an off-site parking facility. The land at 326 Commercial Street has been used for off-site parking for almost 30 years, but this special permit is necessitated by the change in use with us seeking a wholesale and distribution use. Again, we don't think it's detrimental to the public good. It's been used for off-site parking for the building at 300 Commercial Street for almost 300 years, or 30 years, I'm sorry, and will not adversely impact the surrounding area or adversely impact traffic. The exact number of spaces that we're seeking may be altered or reduced. We're awaiting the DEP ruling on the location of the tidelands and if we need to remove parking spaces and or move the generators on the site. We have proposed, as part of our plan, extending the river walk path from the property at 300 Commercial Street to the DPW parcel. And we've read and we support and will implement the conditions recommended by the planning staff. I know there was a question raised in the planning staff's recommendations regarding snow storage for the wholesale and distribution use. We will provide adequate snow storage, but we need to work out the exact location in conjunction to how they're going to lay the yard, use the yard space there. Regarding the path, just wanted to address some of the comments by some of the public. We believe that the path should remain stone dust, which is as we've provided. That's what the DEP has preferred in surfaces that are this close to the river. As you see, if you're familiar with River's Edge, you'll see that the closer to the river, their paths are all stone dust, and the further to the street, it's paved. And it's also consistent with what we've done at properties at 295 and 195 Canal that we found to be very successful and have not had any issues with the stone dust. We'd also prefer to keep it an 8-foot wide path with additional space on either side. I know that a number of letters had requested that it be expanded to 10 feet wide. Again, it's worked well at 295 and 195 Canal, and we think it will work well here. We would suggest that we can fan it at the end where it would connect to the DPW site, so that we could expand it to 10 feet, so there isn't a sharp change in width. There was a suggestion by the Malden Riverworks to move the path slightly to the west to make it easier to match up with their proposed path on the DPW site. We'd be happy to do that, provided that we don't have to then rip up more pavement and lose more parking spaces. That's pretty much our presentation. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
If you don't mind. First, you mentioned that DEP came back and told you that there was potentially additional parking issues. I thought DEP had settled with you guys.
No, we've the existing Chapter 91 license is from the 80s, and it uses a 1917 map to delineate where the tidelands are. About 10 years ago, the DEP started measuring using the GIS instead of relying on the traditional maps. So their plan essentially shifted where the filled tidelands are to where we have some parking and to where Comcast generators are. We have appealed their, we've requested that there be a determination of where the tidelands exactly are, because we've used when in getting the Chapter 91 license for 295 Canal, the DEP told us we should use the 1847 map, which when you use that shows that there are no real filled tidelands on 326. So we're trying to work that out. If the DEP doesn't agree with our assessment, we'll remove the parking spaces as needed and move the generators. So that's they've said that is they've held off on doing anything while we appeal this, but if need be, we could move the generators and move the parking spaces, which we've shown in some of the plans we've submitted.
That would be confined to the off-site parking portion of the location, correct?
Yeah.
It wouldn't,
Yes, that's
wouldn't
correct.
impact the wholesale section at all.
No.
Okay, can you go over again why you'd prefer not to do a 10-foot path? I believe the recommendation of the planning staff is a 10-foot path.
I believe they said an 8-foot path in a 10-foot wide, 10 in width with a walking surface of 8 feet. And that's what we've proposed in our plans. And that's what we have at 195 and 295 Canal. So you have a grass border on either side so that it's wider than the actual stone dust path. The stone dust path that we show and that we've used in our other properties is 8 feet wide. And we think, we've been able to observe it here and at 195 Canal, and it's been very successful.
Okay, thank you. I missed that portion of it. Thanks for clarifying that. With regard to the wholesale portion, could you talk a little bit about the what's going to actually happen there? Do you have to do anything to the building or any structural changes, or is it literally just moving in heritage so that they can now occupy 326 commercial instead of well, it must be an odd number, right?
Yes. No, there would be very minimal. I think they were going to put in like a counter, and there would be some non-structural changes to the interior of the building, but that would be more like workroom related. And again, they were going to put a service counter for when people came in, that there really isn't one there now, but there was nothing structural and nothing significant.
Okay. And the operation itself, it's not going to generate any more trash or anything than it's currently generating up the street?
No.
Okay. Is it presumed that 100% of the deliveries can now be handled off-site and not block Commercial Street at all?
Yes, that's correct. That's the benefit of this property and the building with the large yard. There's room for large trucks to pull in and circle around, and so that we don't have the continuing problem of the trailers on Commercial Street first thing in the morning when in rush hour traffic. That would be solved by this facility.
Okay, that's definitely an improvement. And the path of the trucks to gain access to the site, the facility, and exit won't cross over onto the off-site parking facility use?
No,
'Cause I
no, they're
believe
isolated uses.
there's chain link fences up too, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Um, Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? Anyone have any questions? Michelle, do you have anything? Michelle?
Who uses the parking facility now, the off-site parking?
It's used by Comcast and Mystic Valley Elder Services, the two tenants in the 300 Commercial Street building.
Okay, so the trucks that you see parked there, that's part of the Comcast operation?
Yes, it's the Comcast service trucks, the vans, that they park in the back there.
Okay, but do other employees of the building actually park there too, or it's more like a?
No, employees of the building will as well. It's used as overflow parking for the employees. I don't think it's been used much lately because Comcast seems to have scaled down or limited and as have Mystic Valley with everything with COVID, has limited the number of people in the actual office. But it would be both for the Comcast vans and for people who work for staff for Mystic Valley and Comcast.
Okay. The other question I had about the wholesale and distribution use. So do you know which of the two driveways will they come in through the DPW driveway and turn in to the southern area to the south of the building, or will they come in the northernmost driveway, which is labeled shared driveway? Looks like it's a lot narrower. Do you have any sense of the operation, or they can circle around the building? Will it be a one-way pattern, or do you have any information about that?
My understanding is, and I believe there's some people from Heritage monitoring the meeting as well. My understanding is it would be coming in the southbound side in that entrance by the DPW. And I think the most natural thing would be to circle around the building and come out closer to 300 Commercial. But I defer to them. And I don't know if they're.
Yeah, this is John Marin with SRS Heritage Distribution. Yes, that would be how we would enter and exit the building on the other side of the building. So enter towards the DPW side, exit towards the other side.
Okay, thank you. And will you occupy 100% of the building? You'll be the only tenant in the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that has any questions for the petitioner? Is there anything else that the petitioner would like to add to their presentation?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it, and I think I think the staff report has been extremely comprehensive.
I'm sorry, one other question. Do you know how long the DEP process is going to take to review your determination, your request for a determination of applicability? Do you have any sense? Did they give you any sense? I know you filed it on Friday.
But I heard we could hear within the month, but I'm not certain. There's been no guarantees, or there's been no real time frame, and especially with how everybody's working remotely, I have a feeling it'll probably take longer. It'll be longer than anticipated.
And that would prevent you from doing the Riverwalk portion until they rule?
No, we could move ahead with the Riverwalk portion. It's just whether we would have to remove some of the parking spaces, not stripe them, and then we would have to potentially move the generators that service Comcast at 300 to an alternate location that we've shown on our plans.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any other questions? No. Thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation. At this point, we will open it up for those that would like to speak in favor of this petition. Those that would like to speak in favor, I would suggest that you, if you're speaking in favor or in opposition, that you keep an eye on your side for the Zoom so that you know when you're being activated.
So first we have Prisco tomorrow, 56 Pine Street, speaking in favor.
Okay, Prisco tomorrow, you're welcome to start. Thank you, Ron.
Hi, Prisco tomorrow, 56 Pine Street. Sorry, I can't figure out my video, but that's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Planning Board, and City Planner for the opportunity to speak. I support this project. I think in this time of COVID, we have an obligation to help our businesses in whatever way we can. I'd like to thank the City Planner for sending this project back last month in respect to the Riverwalk, and for the owner for coming back with an attempt to satisfy Chapter 91 and the Malden Riverwalk requirements. I have some concerns with the Riverwalk design, especially in respect to the distance from the river. It's a little difficult to picture, but the top of drawing AS-100 somewhat shows where the Riverwalk is, or the existing one is in front of 300. This extends a straight line behind 300 Commercial to the Medford Street Bridge. A Google Maps view helped me see that this drawing shows a jog around some picnic tables. And I would request a motion to be made that the trail to jog back to align with the 300 Commercial property and extend to the DPW yard. This client seems to bring up precedents. I'd like to remind the board that the Friends of Malden River asked the owner to provide a wider and better Riverwalk material at the office building on Canal. They had said no. And so that basically they repeated what they said tonight, and that the precedence was set by the river's edge for the width and stone dust material, which is a terrible material to push a carriage on. So I asked this planning board also to hold the precedence of the Riverwalk at the same distance at 300 Commercial Street. Don't let basically keep the Riverwalk the same distance from the river's edge as 300 Commercial down to the DPW yard. As discussed, this is all for off-site parking, which doesn't benefit the community. It brings more cars into Malden, and they have reduced the green space along the Riverwalk, furthering the potential for erosion. A benefit to the community would be if the owner provided shuttles to and from Malden Center. And if that was not enough, they could provide MBTA passes to encourage those workers to take mass transit so that these off-site parking spaces are not needed and the Riverwalk could be installed as expected. That would be a public benefit. And my last point is the bike racks. On the same page, AS-110, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a combined properties zoning data sheet. So the bottom row is about bicycle parking, and the second to last column, I can't read the heading because it's blurry, but it says that they are already provided a bike rack at 300. The offsite parking spaces are on this property, and I asked the additional bike racks be located on 326 Commercial and not allow them to double dip the existing bike racks. Also, the table is pretty blurry, and if they could, in future drawings, provide a non-blurry zoning data sheet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
If I might respond to a couple of those points.
No, if you hold on, this is the portion where we're hearing in favor and in opposition.
Terrific.
So the next person is,
Next person's Councilor Ryan O'Malley.
Councilor O'Malley.
Hello, I would like to thank the planning board for organizing this tonight. I just had one clarifying question. This is for 2 special permits, correct? Is this 1 petition or 2?
Two petitions, they're doing the hearing concurrently.
So I would speak in favor of the petition related to the new use of the building. And if I wanted to speak in opposition of the off-site parking, would I speak later? Or should I do that at the same time?
The opposition section, he speaks, right? Right now, they're in favor.
Okay.
Right.
In the next one, you can speak again
Thank you.
in opposition.
Sorry, Paul, I just wanted to clarify that. So I'm speaking in favor of the new business that will go into the building. I think it's a great use. As the previous speaker said, you know, we want to encourage good business, and I think this is a business that will create jobs in Malden, and I'm very happy to see that is going forward. I also would like to talk about the fact that I do believe that the staff report requiring a 10-foot wide path is valid, and I would hope that the planning board would uphold that condition. I do want to also highlight, as the previous speaker did, that the current proposed location of the path is very, very close to the river. And I do believe that, considering the fact that we already have a very large parking lot, I would say probably almost 90% of this parcel is completely covered in impermeable surface. I would ask that the path be removed out of the vegetated area, which, if it was placed there, would remove a lot of green space and a lot of trees, and instead have that located on the existing asphalt area. It would make it a straight path, which is a much safer and more pleasant path to go down. It would also allow it to align with the proposed path that we are building at the DPW site. And it would also better align with the path north of the property, which is also owned by combined properties. So I'd ask that the planning board set a condition that the path be in the asphalted area outside of the vegetated area, and that it be made of asphalt, considering the fact that it's already an asphalt parking lot. Aside from that, I just want to thank you all for having this tonight. It looks really nice at the new City Hall, and I will see you at the next portion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Next, we have a person who is dialed in by phone only. So the person with the last 4 digits of their phone number, 4372. Go ahead, you were allowed to talk. Actually, hang on 1 second and ask them to unmute. Yep, there we go. If you could please read your name and your home address for the record.
Well, my last 4 digits are different than that, but this is Karen Buck. The address is 323 Forest Street in Malden. And I thank you all for inviting the public to come to the planning board meeting and listening to the presentation. The Friends of the Malden River, I'm speaking for the group. We are in favor of the building the occupancy by the roofing company. We are concerned about the Malden River walk, that it does connect with our plans at the DPW Waterfront Park, but the consistency of a 10-foot path is highly important for the continuum of our path and for the public. This is to qualify as a shared use path, and 8 feet is just not wide enough to accommodate different modes of travel, whether it be a stroller or a bike. The stone dust, well, I understand that pavement near the river can cause runoff. So the stone dust would be okay, but we do need to have that 10-foot width. Or I request that we have the 10-foot width to continue the river walk. I'd like to see the river walk begin at Medford Street at the sidewalk and have a nice continuum through the DPW. It would be nice to also, I request that the riverbank be rehabilitated with native plantings, and that the invasive species, especially the black swallowwort, be taken away. And yeah, so we want to create an alliance with the property owners that border the Malden River, and we'd be willing to work with the property owners in designing with native plants and, you know, putting some volunteer labor into the efforts. But we would like to start that with an established 10-foot wide path that aligns with the Malden River walk at the DPW. Thank you.
Thank you.
This time I'm seeing no more.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? If no one else has chimed in, declare that part of the hearing closed.
We have letters.
Yep. Could you read the letters in favor, please?
So the first is an email dated September 22nd, 2020. It's from Councilor Stephen Winslow. It reads, I have reviewed the permit application for this project and have the following comments. I am pleased to see that the proponent plans to build the section of the Riverwalk that will be necessary to connect to the proposed riverfront park behind the Malden DPW. This will be an excellent way to access the new park when it is built. However, I do request that the width and surface of the path be made consistent with those of the Malden Riverworks plan for a paved path that I believe will be 10 feet wide. 2, commercial street frontage. The vegetation in front of the property blocks the bicycle lane sign, and the bicycle lane striping in front of the property has been completely worn out. The plans do not even acknowledge the presence of the bicycle lane. I request that the sign be relocated to a place where the shrubs, trees will not block it from view, and that the applicant be required to fund the restriping of the bicycle lane in front of the property. Also, I have a letter dated September 23rd, 2020. You will all have copies of this in your package as well. It reads, Dear Chairman Iovan and Malden Planning Board members, this letter is to address the petition of 326 Commercial Street seeking a special permit to allow wholesale and distribution use and off-site parking facility use in an industrial zoning district. The site consists of approximately 5.1 acres with the Malden River abutting the property to the east and the Malden Department of Public Works, DPW, abutting it to the south. I am pleased that the plan includes the installation of a Riverwalk path along the eastern property line that will create a link between Medford Street and the DPW site. This is specifically in line with the goals of the Malden River Greenway plan, which envisions an interconnected network of shared use waterfront trails spanning the length of the river. Additionally, it supports the work of the Malden River Works, which involves efforts to redesign the DPW yard, to improve resiliency, considering future climate change, and to create a new waterfront recreational amenity for the public to enjoy. Although I am thrilled that the proposal is to extend the Riverwalk path through the property, there are a few issues that need to be addressed so that the trail is uniform and consistent. As currently proposed, it would have to be readjusted about 10 feet so that it connects with the Malden Riverworks design. The path would also need to be a minimum of 10 feet in width in order to allow for safe travel of pedestrians, cyclists, and wheelchair users. These changes would not appear to increase the cost of the project and would serve to further enhance the usefulness and attractiveness of the path for its many anticipated users. For these reasons, I respectfully request that if the board grants a special permit requested, that it consider including these adjustments as conditions. Thank you for your consideration. Signed, sincerely, Gary Christensen, Mayor, City of Malden. I also have a letter dated September 23rd, 2020. It reads, Dear Chairman Iovan and members of the Planning Board, I'm writing this letter in support of the two special permit applications before you this evening for 326 Commercial Street. One for the wholesale and distribution, and two, the off-site parking facility. The relocation of Heritage Wholesalers from 185 Commercial Street to 326 Commercial Street is not only not more detrimental to the neighborhood, it is a much safer location for this business. In addition to the increased safety, I believe this move will improve traffic on Commercial Street. 326 Commercial Street has a large parking lot and loading area, eliminating the need for the 18-wheelers to park on Commercial Street while they wait to unload. As for the off-site parking facility, it is apparent that for some reason it was not properly permitted. As the petitioner mentions, they have been using the location as an off-site parking facility for nearly 20 years. During my time as a city councilor, I have not received any complaints, concerns, or even questions about its use. Properly permitting the site will bring it into alignment and allow the petitioners to continue to offer parking. As the community has been working diligently on improving access to the Malden River, a highlight of recreational activity in our community, the inclusion of Riverwalk Path is a welcomed addition. The Malden Riverworks team has held multiple community meetings to define the proposed design for the DPW property that would include access to the river as well as passive recreational space. In order to have a consistent trail, the proposed Riverwalk Path should mirror in width the Malden Riverworks plan as designed, 10 feet in width. Additionally, the Riverwalk Path would need to be extended roughly 10 feet to connect the Riverworks plan, making it a true amenity to the area. I do not believe that either one of these conditions will negatively impact the wholesale distribution or the off-site parking facility. I hope the planning board will consider these amendments, and again, I offer this letter in support of granting the special permits this evening. If you require additional information, please feel free to contact me. Respectfully submitted, Peg Crow, Ward 1 City Council, 9 Hancock Street, Malden, Mass. I also have a letter dated September 23rd, 2020. It reads, Dear Chairman Iovan and members of the Planning Board, thank you for the opportunity to submit comments with regard to the special permit to allow wholesale and distribution use and off-site parking facility use in the Industrial 1 zoning district at the property number 326 Commercial Street. The Malden Department of Public Works, DPW, located at 356 Commercial Street, is the southern abutter of the property before the Planning Board today. The Malden Riverworks project is the community's effort to reimagine and redesign the DPW yard in order to improve the site's resiliency in the face of future climate events and develop a new waterfront open space for the public to enjoy. Led by a coalition of community leaders, environmental activists, and government officials, we've spent the last year developing a concept plan for the site through an extensive public engagement process that included 4 community meetings and 3 surveys. Malden Riverworks has had tremendous support from the mayor, MRA, city council, and the community at large through the concept planning phase. The project was initially funded by the first ever Leventhal City Prize, awarded by MIT's Leventhal Center for Advanced Urbanism. Malden Riverworks proposal was chosen from a field of 14 proposals from all around the world for the $100,000 prize. Thanks to our extensive community engagement and the work of the city's municipal vulnerability preparedness core team, the city was then able to secure $150,000 MVP action grant from the Baker Polito administration to move the project into the design engineering phase, which will begin next month. This project directly builds off previous planning efforts of the Malden River Greenway plan, which, with the support of the Mystic River Watershed Association, envisions an interconnected network of shared use waterfront trails that span the entire length of the river. This project at the DPW site will help achieve the vision of the Malden River Greenway plan by creating one piece of the river path and set a precedent for what resilient waterfront access can look like on the river, on the Malden River. We are very pleased that the petitioner has proposed to extend the river path through the property, creating a crucial link between Medford Street and the DPW. We fully acknowledge that due to the plurality of property owners along the river, development of the full path will be piecemeal and may result in varied experiences for users. However, there are important details that need to be consistent to ensure the functionality of the trail as a whole. The most basic necessities for the paths to connect between properties. As shown in the attached document, the proposed plan at 326 Commercial Street is about 10 feet east of the Malden River Works design. We believe that a realignment of the path to respond to the Malden River Works design would not impact the petitioner's parking plan or significantly increase construction costs. The second concern is in regard to the width of the proposed path. To allow for safe use of the path by pedestrians, cyclists, and wheelchair users, the path needs to be a minimum of 10 feet wide. This width is consistent with the path in our concept plan for the DPW site and adheres to the guidelines set in the Malden River Greenway plan. Malden River Works respectfully request that the planning board include these conditions to the special permit if the board chooses to grant the petitioner's request. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely signed, Marsha Manon, Chair, Malden River Works Steering Committee, and Kathleen M. Vandever, Project Lead, Malden River Works Project Team. The plans they were referring to are the attachments that were submitted with the petition by the petitioner. They had reviewed those plans. And then finally, I did have also receive a letter that was dated September 23rd from the Friends of the Malden River, but we did hear testimony from Karen Buck, representing Karen Buck, President of the Friends of the Malden River, so I will not read that letter. That's all I have in favor.
Very good. Thank you for doing that. If there's no one else to speak in favor, I will declare that part of the hearing closed. And we will entertain those that would like to speak in opposition of this petition. Anyone in opposition?
Have Councilor Ron O'Malley.
Yep, Councilor O'Malley, you're welcome to go again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Again, as I stated, I am only speaking in opposition to the portion of the petition related to the off-site parking facility. As the petitioner stated, a significant portion of this property was formerly tidelands or could be formerly tidelands. The map that I have from our engineer, Nangle Associates, shows that half of this property used to be actually part of the Malden River. And this particular part of the property is where they are proposing to have the off-site parking facility. And it's also directly adjacent to the vegetated riverbank. In my opinion, and in most people's opinion, a parking lot is the lowest and worst use for our valuable property in Malden. This off-site parking facility is currently hardly used. I don't think I have ever seen more than a couple vehicles actually parked in here. So whether or not it is actually currently used as a parking lot, I think is up for debate. It's very underutilized. As I'm sure you all know, Malden already has extremely bad congestion, and allowing more parking lots is only going to exacerbate this issue. Off-site parking facilities are a detriment to our community, and I respectfully ask that the planning board reject this portion of the special permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Michelle, do you have anything to read in opposition?
No.
Nothing left to read, and seeing no one else in opposition, declare that part of the hearing closed. Michelle, could you take us through this? Oh, wait, let me give the petitioner an opportunity to briefly address some of the comments that he wanted to earlier. Attorney Lafferty.
Terrific. I appreciate that. Just a couple of things to note. One is we're not increasing the amount of pavement. We're actually removing quite a bit of pavement. that's out there in order to get more of a vegetated strip to put the path. Second, I think that the path may not be perfectly straight because we're trying to work around existing mature trees in spots. And I think that the counselor's point about the parking area being underutilized, I think is more a reflection of the COVID lockdown than anything else, where Mystic Valley Elder Services is has very few people there, as does Comcast. And I think that contrary to some of the assertions, I think it's a valuable thing that allows us to keep Mystic Valley Elder Services and keep Comcast in Malden. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Michelle, can you take us? Oh, Ken?
Yeah, I just one question, if I can ask. Yeah, one question, if I can ask the applicant. The area where it bumps out right now, that is the area where the generators exist now? Right now, where that path, it comes, it heads, what would that be?
At the very top of the map?
At the very top of the map.
I think that's up near the Comcast entrance up by Medford Street.
Well, not on the Medford Street, but actually right on the right at the border, I guess it would be the northern border of 326 Commercial. Is that where the generators are that are in question?
The generators are up top, and I can show you a larger plan. So you're looking at the plan and you see the landscaped section at top, and you'll see a plan that says alternate generator location. Now, they've submitted several plans, so you need to make sure you're looking at the current plan.
Right, and that was hard to determine.
Yeah, so those 11 by 17 did not show the alternate generator location. You need to look at one of the 8.5 by 11s.
Right.
All of those three show the generator locations. Relocation up at the top. You can see it outlined. Alternate generator location, it says it in the driveway. So
Right.
Those three site plans.
They show the alternate generator, but where are the current
To
generators?
the right of that,
In that,
existing generator location along that northern property line.
oh, okay, all right, I do see it. Thank
If you
you.
look at the pictures, you can see them. There's a good, clear picture in that package of the fenced in with
Okay.
like the gray fencing.
So right now, it's the picnic, I'm just looking at it on like a Google map photo. The path now that bumps out, picnic tables that they bumped out around?
Where the path bumps out is not on their property.
Right. It's on the adjacent property.
Right. So they're showing where it's going to connect up at the top. That bump out is not on their property. And then you see the trees in circles. You can see a picture of that area. I don't think there are picnic tables there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it's either a MapQuest or a Google.
But I was just out there today, so those are the current pictures of what it looks like today. I actually took a picture of that corner of the property.
I don't think I have the pictures in my packet.
You don't? Okay, here. Sorry.
At all.
There's two sets of pictures.
So Henry just gave me his.
So that's the part of bumps out.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Pictures speak 1,000 words. Are you all set? Yeah, all set. Okay, very good.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I just have one question for the petitionership.
Okay.
If you could just speak up, Eric, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Sorry. Did you say that the DEC actually prefers you to make the pathway out of the stone dust versus paved?
Yes, that's been our experience. The closer to the river, they prefer a pervious surface like the stone dust rather than pavement. And I think you can see it you know, in 195 and 295, they wanted us to use stone dust. But I think if you're over at River's Edge, you'll see that close to the street, it's paved, but the closer you get, when you get close to the river, it transitions into stone dust. And that's because again, the DEP wants to keep pervious surfaces the closer you get to the river.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Teresa?
I'm not sure if it's because it's small and I can't really see what's happening, but on AS 100, there's a drawing 1. That's a detail of the path of section. And there's a 10-foot dimension, but it's hard to determine what the 10-foot is encompassing. It looks like grass along the whole length. Can you explain that?
It's the 10-foot clear area, as noted in the staff opinion, that we have there's at least 10-foot width, but so that there's plenty of grass on either side, but the actual stone dust path would be 8 feet.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Take us through the staff report, please.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the public hearings on these petitions are being held concurrently. There are 2 separate petitions before you, and I will recommend that you take 2 separate votes. So you'll need to, when we get to that point, I did 1 staff report and recommendation talking about both petitions. So we heard about the property, the abutter being the Malden River and the BBW yard to the south. Petitioner is the owner. You do have in your package the floor plans for the proposed wholesale and distribution. So there are 2 petitions. 1 is for wholesale and distribution. 1 is for offsite parking facility. The plans and information that were submitted are referenced here in the staff report, which is incorporated here in my reference. I'm not going to read through everything. You have copies of everything, all the plans. As I said, the 8.5 by 11 set was the original submission. It was revised several times. 1 showing alternate location for generators, 2 showing alternate location for generators and elimination removal of approximately 20 parking spaces. And then again, showing an alternate location for generators, elimination, removal of the parking spaces, and depicting the Chapter 91 jurisdiction line. And then finally, is we received another plan today that shows all those things, alternate location for generators, elimination of the parking, depicting the Chapter 91 jurisdiction line, and adding the missing 33rd parking spot. So that's, I don't have full size of that, but I do have full size of the other ones if anyone's interested in seeing the blow up that Teresa was just talking about of the river area. That's shown on all the site plans. Zoning and occupancy, the property is located in the Industrial 1 zoning district. The building was most recently used for warehouse use by Verizon and requires a special permit. It's considered pre-existing non-conforming. Part of the property, the parking lots to the north and west, separated from the remainder of the site with chain link fencing, are currently used as off-site parking facility. As we heard, they're by tenants of the abutting property, also owned by petitioner, 300 Commercial Street, also known as 230 Medford Street. I do have an email from the building commissioner from March 9th that states the use may not continue without proper city approvals. They're pursuing these approvals right now. The off-site parking facility will require a special permit from the planning board. It will also require a license or permit for outdoor parking from the city council. The proposed wholesale and distribution use also requires a special permit. The direct abutter to the north is general offices, to the south, the city DPW yard, to the east, the Malden River. On the other side is a public service corporation, National Grid. To the west, on the other side of Commercial Street, a daycare, retail sales, food market, and a building construction contracting company. That's the location of a proposed marijuana establishment. In terms of dimensional controls, the building complies with current dimensional controls for the most recent, for the warehouse use. The proposed uses create new violations or nonconformities. In terms of parking and loading, the wholesale and distribution use of the building, which is 27,192 square feet of gross floor area, requires 33 parking spaces and 2 loading bays or spaces, and bicycle parking for 6. The site plan, and if you look at the site plan, if you look at the dotted line, it says limit of wholesale and distribution use. Within that dotted line, there are depicted 33 parking spaces, 32 when this was written, 6 loading docks, and access via the existing curb cut on Commercial Street and via the DPW driveway on Commercial Street. The note 4 talks about the discrepancy between 33 and 32. Again, the most recent plan that was submitted today does show the 33rd spot. It's to the right of the loading ramp in the fenced-in area, if anyone is interested where that is. No bicycle parking is depicted. The site plan indicates it's off-site, provided at 300 Commercial Street. The required snow storage is not depicted on the site plan. So that's for the wholesale and distribution use. For the off-site parking facility use, the proposal is to provide a maximum of 155 spaces. Described where they're located, you can see that on the plans. There are 155 spaces depicted on the plans, although the table on the plans indicates there are 152. Again, I think there's a counting discrepancy in the numbering. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 91, the waterways regulations that are administered by the Mass DEP, Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, the generators may need to be moved, in which case 8 spaces would be eliminated, and approximately 20 parking spaces may need to be eliminated or removed. So that's why, if given the range, if maximum is 155, it could be down to one. I didn't do the math there. So 155 minus 28. So
127.
So 127. Thank you. Other requirements. Off-site parking facilities require landscaped areas. So for every parking space, 10 square feet of landscape space shall be provided on site. That appears to be provided along the Malden River walk area. Minimum of 75% of front yard setback, side yard setback, and rear yard setback of the facility shall be landscaped with plantings or other permeable landscaping materials. There are landscaping areas around the parking facility area. Bicycle parking, a maximum of 16 bicycle racks is required for the 155 spaces. Bicycle parking may be located in landscaped areas. Again, there's no bicycle parking shown on the plan on this site. It is required to be on site. Snow storage, the proposal requires a snow storage area of 6,200 square feet. That's 40 square feet per 155 spaces. The site plan states the amount and it depicts it in several areas. They're the crosshatch areas. As we mentioned, the Malden River abuts the property to the east. Chapter 91 jurisdiction by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection is because the easterly end of the building is located on a formerly filled tidal creek. If you look at one of the plans that's submitted, there were 2 yellow highlighted lines. So they crossed. That is the location of the formerly filled tidal creek. The properties are subject of 2 Chapter 91 licenses. So that's showing the current location of the Chapter 91 jurisdictional boundaries. Within that are certain structures, the generators, and certain parking spaces. That would require a new license if they were going to remain. The Mass DEP is using, quote, enforcement discretion at this time because petitioner, as we heard, is pursuing a dispute of the Chapter 91 jurisdictional boundaries. They filed a request for determination of applicability on September 18th. I've confirmed all this with the Mass DEP Waterways Regulation Program. Didn't give you copies of the emails, but we have several emails that confirm all this information. The proposed river walk that's going to be located along the eastern property line. The description I provided in this report is what was shown on the plan. So it's shown as 10 feet in width, but the walking surface is 8 feet in width. It's shown as pervious surface. It's shown with access connecting to the existing path at the property to the north, 300 Commercial Street. And the landscaping and installation details are depicted on the site plan. So findings that you need to grant special permits. So for the wholesale and distribution use, you need to find any increase or creation or violation, any creation or increase in violation of dimensional controls or parking requirements will not be more detrimental to the neighborhood. You would need to find the traffic and traffic patterns generated by the proposed use will not adversely impact the surrounding streets or create a safe traffic or safety hazard. You need to find the proposed use will not be more detrimental to the neighborhood, is not in conflict with surrounding land uses, and is in the interest of the common good. So do you want to take these one at a time? So
We would, but I get a couple questions about the path. Several people recommended moving it 10 feet. Does 10 feet take it into the parking on the easterly border of the lot?
well,
I'm not sure about the scale. I'm not sure
Yeah.
1/25 and 1 inch is 25 feet.
yeah, I had read these comments to readjust it 10 feet so that it connects. What I was going to recommend when we got to that would be that the length of the path be extended to join the path at the property, the DPW site, in the surface be expanded in width to 10 feet. So I don't think we should say 10 feet, 11 feet, because we don't know exactly. I would recommend that the board require it to connect.
Yeah.
And it will have to be adjusted accordingly. The Riverworks plan isn't shown on this plan. So I do believe that it's 10 feet in width, the Riverworks plan. But in terms of should it be 10 feet, I think one of the letters said to the west, or that it align with it. I think that would be, appropriate to say.
Okay, I'm just trying to just judge that if we took half an inch, that would be 12.5 feet.
Yeah.
And that starts to get up real close to where those parking spots are.
Yeah.
Also, the other question I have, are these trees actual locations?
I believe those are existing trees.
Those are existing
yes.
trees, and it's
if you look at
accurate where it's.
If you look at the pictures, as someone, I think the petitioner mentioned, there are mature trees there.
Right, but I just want to make sure these aren't renderings and that.
Well, I think those are the trees shown all along the path, but you should confirm that, unless, let me just see if it's, the legend does not say, you'd have to ask petitioner if those are existing. I thought they were existing, and like I said, when I went down there, they looked to be in that area.
Those are existing trees.
Okay, so the plan is accurate for the placement of the tree.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Riverworks letter says the proposed path is about 10 feet east of the Riverworks design. So that means you would need to shift it west to connect it.
So left.
Right. Because if it's east, it needs to be shifted west to connect.
Right.
I, again, was going to just recommend that it be extended, actually, it will say and realigned to join. I don't know that you need to change the whole path, or if it's just at the end, it would somehow need to go that way. I think if we say, realign to join, this is very, very close already to the parking further north, so
Yeah.
I would just say extend length and realign to join.
Okay, you can continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's what I. So do you want me to move forward with the recommendation?
Yes, if you would.
So the recommendation, which was prepared prior to the public hearing, provided the board makes the required findings. So this is for the wholesale and distribution use. That a special permit for the wholesale and distribution use be granted subject to the following conditions. 1, all development shall be as per plans which are incorporated herein by reference and except were modified by these conditions. 2, provide 33 parking spaces on site for this use. 3, provide bicycle parking for 6 on site. 4, any permanent dumpster shall be enclosed and screened. 5, install, repair, or replace sidewalks, driveways, and perform necessary and incidental work adjacent to the property to the reasonable satisfaction of the DPW director. And 6, install and maintain riverfront path along Malden River as depicted on plans, except extend, length, and realign to join to path at DPW site, and expand surface width to 10 feet. I don't have.
And the walking portion to 10
Right,
feet.
the surface, right, so I'm calling it surface, walking surface, right, good, walking surface, the span walking surface, width of walking surface to 10 feet. I don't have an opinion on the stone dust or the pavement. I know in a recent petition we heard where Mass DEP did weigh in, I believe they did want stone dust. They did not give an opinion on this. I didn't ask them for an opinion. So I think as long as it's, I think it should be pervious, but that would be, that's what's shown on the plan. If you want to make it anything other than what's shown on the plan, which is pervious, then you need to state that.
Do you know what the proposal is, or are they not at that point for the Riverworks portion?
I don't know, but let me read this letter again. See, it doesn't say. Let me just check the mayor's letter because he had. Didn't see it. Well, see, Council Winslow says width and surface should be consistent with the Malden Riverworks plan. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure if they have decided. The Riverworks plan letter, the Riverworks project letter talks about the width. Does not talk about the material. And then the mayor's letter
Doesn't say it in the manual.
doesn't say it in the mayor's letter. So you could leave it as is, or you could say consistent with Malden Riverworks design. I just don't know what they're going to end up deciding.
I agree. In all reality, if they have it 10 feet wide, and the Riverworks plan is to be 10 feet wide, if they don't have it set exactly where it's going to go, they can just connect to where it ends up being at the southern portion of the property. Like, it's hard to plan something around something that hasn't been planned yet. But knowing that they're going to have 10 feet wide and make this 10 feet wide, it seems like it should be easy to connect it when they do that.
Yeah.
So,
But can I add to this point is,
Yes.
the discussion of shifting this, 10 feet to make sense to have it align up with the Malden, the path that's going to be on the DPW site. The only thing is it looks like if that does shift at that end of the property, which would be the southern end, I think. It looks like it impacts what the areas that are called out to be snow storage areas. So snow storage would have to be reevaluated. at that point. It looks like they're looking at snow storage between the path and the paved area. So if the path does shift at that southern portion to the west, they have to address something about the quantity of snow storage area.
I think the other thing that's not shown on this plan is that where the path ends on this plan, there's actually a drop in grade. There's actually a boat launch on the DPW site that goes down to the river. So I think the Riverworks plan is, you know, sort of looking, I believe, to keep that path higher up so that it's not into the slope of the boat ramp.
Right, that's a gentle giant where the boat ramp is. Yep. Yep.
But I think the issues that we're talking about here are the alignment, which I think makes sense to have them shift their path to align with the Riverworks. And then the other issue I think that you're struggling with, Chuck, sounds like the surface, what to use for the surface, the stone dust,
Right.
or is it, you know, something that's a harder surface that's impervious or that allows, you know, drainage.
Permeable asphalt or something.
Permeability, yeah. I personally, you know, I've been to the adjacent site at the river's edge, and you know the references to the stone dust. I mean, I've walked those paths 100 times. They're very easily to walk on. They're easy for bikes. I think Prisco made the comment about strollers. You know, I haven't pushed a stroller on it, so I don't know, but you know, typically they're very compact and they're very easy to walk across. I think when you get into certain portions of the bike path up in Saugus and up in that direction, I think the paths up there are stone dust that's not unlike this. So I don't think it's a bad material. That's just my 2 cents.
And it's pervious. So.
And it's pervious.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing, is that's pervious.
Yeah, because of its proximity to the river.
Michelle, could we, I guess what I'm unfamiliar with is the Malden Riverworks plan. I haven't seen anything. I'm less familiar with that. Can we say as a requirement that it should be aligned with the Malden Riverworks plan? My hesitation with that is I read in one of the items that they're at the stage where they're just doing design now. So it could be that they haven't even designed it yet.
Or could we say that, you know, to coordinate with, so maybe the two parties can work together to get it in the right location rather than have combined properties match up to whatever Riverworks.
I don't know what the timeline is with this Riverworks.
It probably will need a complete design to say where the starting point
Right,
is.
with the thing is, it should be able to target that, but
Yeah, the two parties should be able to determine where to match up, because like the point Pat made is if that boat launch area, you know, obviously you want to avoid that. It doesn't make any sense to have two paths not meeting.
so can you
I
word
mean,
that?
I think it should say realign, or the path shall be aligned. This is what it should say: the path shall be aligned to connect to the path at the DPW site. And expand the width of the walking surface to 10 feet. I think we should say, I would recommend surface shall be pervious. I don't know if we should say anything more.
But that is per plans, right? Because per plans right now it's called to be fine.
Well,
Stone.
per plan, it's not 10 feet walking surface.
No, surface is called.
It's stone dust, but I guess if something comes up besides stone dust, as long as it's pervious, I think it would be fine. So align to connect to the path of the DPW site. I would hesitate to recommend that you refer specifically to the Malden Riverworks design, because it is still a design. In the event another, you know, design team comes on or it changes, you don't want to tie it to something that hasn't been constructed yet. You also don't want to defer your authority to another entity. So I think we know there's going to be a path at the DPW site, and I think your intent is you want this path to align to connect with it.
Yes.
However that is, if that means a grade shifting east, west, it'll be up to, the petitioner to figure it
To
out.
make sure it works.
Right, what I don't think you want is for them to wait until that path is constructed.
Right.
This will be a condition to this special permit. So on that note,
Basically, the burden's on them to reach out to this group. And
right,
find out where they plan to start.
right.
Or how they plan
Right.
to connect.
So if they were to construct it right now, in the next month, and they put it in this location, and, a year down the road, the Riverworks plan shows the path is here and it's constructed, the condition says a line to connect to the path, they're gonna have to move it. So yes, it would, make sense for them to find out approximately where they're gonna need to do the connection before they install it. So the other issue or question, the plan shows the plantings. So it shows existing replanted ground cover, existing replanted ground cover. There was a comment in the Friends of the River letter, and I don't know if you want to address that regarding invasive species. If you want the plantings to be non-invasive, you could just leave it at that. I don't know about removing anything, but all, landscaping shall be non-invasive. I would recommend that you add that.
Okay.
So this is all amending shall be non-invasive species. So these are all amendments to that sixth condition. Install and maintain riverfront path along Malden River as depicted on plans, except, and you'll have a line to connect to path at DPW site. B, expand width of walking surface to 10 feet. C, surface shall be pervious. And D, all landscaping shall be non-invasive species.
Michelle, on the last one, can you put in that they're be rehabilitated with native plantings and remove invasive species?
Can you speak up, please? Or speak into the microphone?
Yeah. So if on that part D that you just mentioned, if you could maybe word it that the area be rehabilitated with native plantings and remove invasive species.
Okay, so D will be rehabilitate with native planting and remove invasive species. So it won't be the landscaping thing I said. It'll say rehabilitate with native plantings and remove invasive species would be part D to that. And the last condition that I would recommend for your consideration had to do with the signage, which actually Council Winslow raised, and I did notice during my site visit today as well, I believe there's a picture of it. That sign is obscured. So where the bicycle lane is, I know he had suggested maybe relocating the sign. I was thinking maybe we could just trim the vegetation so that it doesn't obscure the sign.
Could we possibly amend condition 5 to include that, including the bike lane? So it would be covered under install, repair, or replace sidewalks, driveways, and bike lane, and perform necessary incidental work, including signage. Because it would be the DPW director who would have to approve the signage.
Can you speak up, Pat?
Sorry. Do you need me to say it again?
What's that?
Do you need me to say it again?
I heard what you said. So you said to amend condition 5. So it would say install, repair, replace sidewalks, driveways, perform incidental work adjacent to the property to the reasonable satisfaction of the DPW director. And you would say, and.
So, I mean, again, if it's, so replace sidewalks, driveways, and bike lane.
Okay.
And perform necessary incidental work, including signage adjacent to the property to the reasonable satisfaction of the DPW director. I think that would cover Councilor
Okay.
Winslow's concerns.
Okay, so we'll read install, repair, replace sidewalks, driveways, and bike lanes, and perform necessary incidental work, including signage adjacent to the property to the reasonable satisfaction of the DPW director. That seems fair to me.
Chair, Chair and Michelle, one other question on condition 3. If I can, so it says provide the bicycle parking for 6 on site. Councilor Winslow, can you, I don't have his email in my packet. He referenced something specifically about the bike racks and putting them on commercial versus on site, or I didn't catch that.
The vegetation in front of the property blocks the bicycle lane sign, and the bicycle lane striping has been completely worn out. So he was talking about the lanes.
Okay.
One of the people, in favor spoke about missing bike racks, which I noted they're missing. They need to be on site.
Okay, all right, as long as we captured that.
Yeah, so it's bicycle parking for 6 on site.
Risha?
Since we have a condition regarding, or a requirement to align with the path down at the DPW site, if that has to shift, do we need to put language in there to address the snow storage, like Ken brought up? So that it doesn't encroach on the path?
I did hear what Ken said, and when I looked at the plans, the snow storage is to the left of the path. So it's just cross-hatched.
Right, but if we move the path to the left, which is where it's
Line
gonna
that
be.
way.
Well, if they move the path to the left, you mean onto the parking? They'll lose parking spaces then. That's a different.
No. Well, I'm looking at the 11 by 17 drawing that
Yeah.
shows a snow storage diagram,
Right.
off-site parking lot, not to scale. Currently, the path heads due south, call it, and between the paved area and the path is a hashed area is called snow storage. If this path moves west, it's going to go through that snow storage area. So the
It'll
snow
go
storage area will need to be
If it goes
added
in-
somewhere else.
Right, if it goes into the parking lot, if it shifts that far west. Right.
I don't know if that's paved already.
Yeah, that's already paved. There's a fenced-in gate. You can see it in one of the pictures. That's already paved there.
Cross-hatched area is already paved.
Yes.
Okay, so
There's a
that will
gate.
go into the paved area.
So, I mean, they have to provide the required snow storage. You don't actually have to add that as a condition, they have to provide it.
Okay.
But.
I did have one additional question.
You could say
kind of
that,
related to
yeah.
Is the petitioner mentioned that they're going to be removing pavement? I don't see anything on the plans. Maybe I'm missing it. That they're going to be removing paving. Is that?
I think that this line, I think it's shown as green, but I think the pavement creeps over onto that right now. If you look in the pictures, you can see where some of the trucks are parked right up against that.
Right. So it's not on the drawings that pavement would be removed, but the expectation is some of that green area to the east of the paved on these drawings is paved area that they're going to be removing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it.
It's just not really delineated anywhere.
Any other questions for Michelle?
But I mean, I guess maybe you're not giving a variance on the snow storage, so. Oh, I'm sorry, Ken, I do see now. I was looking at a different plan. I do see what you're talking about. Snow storage is actually in the green area. Okay, that's my mistake. So, they would need to relocate
Yeah, it depends on
snow
which.
storage
Yeah.
if necessary.
Yeah, because in the green area, it isn't shown, but if you look into the detail to the
Actually, I
left.
did just see that,
It's
yeah,
shown,
okay,
yeah.
sorry about that. Relocate snow storage if necessary. We can add that, on-site if necessary. That would be the condition 7 that I would recommend. But actually, I would not recommend that, well, that's for the other permit, but we'll relocate snow storage if necessary, on-site if necessary. That will be condition 7.
Okay, any other questions from Michelle? No other questions from Michelle? Michelle, anything else that you want to share with us?
No, I just will note this, we, allowed them to submit one set of plans showing both proposals on the same set of plans because it's the same project. I mean, the same property. So that's why we're having a little
Okay, so
back and forth. So that is shown on this plan though, as Ken said. So no, I don't have anything else.
so we need a motion on the wholesale and distribution
Yes.
use,
With those 7 conditions.
and we propose the 7 conditions that we just wordsmith.
Right.
Would it be
Is there a-
possible for me to address one of the proposed conditions?
Okay, if you'll be brief.
Yeah, very brief. I'm extremely concerned about the plantings and removal of invasive species, which has, at 195 Canal, cost us well over $100,000. I think that most people don't realize what a significant cost that could turn out to be, and could frankly make this financially unreasonable deal for us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone want to make a motion on the wholesale and distribution use? Ken?
Chair, I'll make a motion to grant the special permit on the wholesale and distribution use with the 7 conditions as described by Michelle.
Okay, is there a second for Ken's motion, recommendation of staff with conditions? Pat Hayes, seconded. Michelle will take the roll call.
Ken Antonucci,
Yes.
Diane Shuha,
Yes.
Patrick Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Tawadich Gabasalasi,
Yes.
Lisa Gray. Yes. Patrick Hayes,
Yes.
Eric McCush,
Yes.
Henry Susi,
Yes.
Chuck Iovan.
Yes. That portion of the petition has been granted with conditions. The second portion, Michelle, can you read the recommendation?
Yes, so the finding you need to make to grant the special permit for the off-site, off-street parking lot is that the facility is not detrimental to the public good. So that's the standard you're looking at. So the recommendation made prior to the public hearing and made provided the board makes the required findings is to grant a special permit for the off-site parking facility use subject to the following conditions. 1, the off-site parking facility may contain a maximum of 155 parking spaces. 2, parking layout shall be per one of, it should actually say now 4 site plans submitted herewith, which are incorporated herein by reference. Any revisions, including those required by Mass DEP pursuant to Chapter 91 jurisdiction, will require an amendment of the special permit. So to be clear, they can use any one of these site plans, the one that shows the generators in the current location, the generators moved, with the parking spaces eliminated, with some of the parking spaces removed. So there's several different options, but 155 parking spaces would be the maximum. 3, obtain open air parking license from City Council. 4, all surfaces used or intended for the use of wheeled vehicles shall be paved with an all-weather dust-free pavement. 5, provide lights and locate to be shielded from streets and adjoining properties. 6, maintain landscaping of front, side, and rear yards. 7, provide required bicycle parking on site. I put 0.1 bicycle racks per parking space. Whereas we don't know if there's going to be 155 spaces or 125 spaces, the number may change. So that's why we left it at that. 8, install, repair, or replace sidewalks, driveways, we'll say, and bike lanes, and perform necessary incidental work, including signage, adjacent to the property to the reasonable satisfaction of the DPW director. 9, install and maintain riverfront path along Malden River as depicted on plans, except A, a line to connect to path at DPW site. B, expand width of walking surface to 10 feet. C, surface shall be pervious. D, rehabilitate with native plantings and remove invasive species. And then condition 10, relocate snow storage on site if necessary.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Diane's making a motion, recommendation of staff for conditions, Diane?
Yes. To grant the special permit with 10 conditions? Correct.
I'll second.
And she seconds it. When Michelle calls your name for the roll call, please respond in a loud voice.
Antonucci?
Yes.
Chuha? Yes. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Gabor Selassie? Yes. Gray? Yes. Hayes?
No.
McCush?
Yes.
Susie?
Yes.
Iovan?
Yes.
8-1. So that passed.
Okay, so that petition has been granted with conditions. Second, put some of the paperwork away. And then we will proceed with 15 Highland.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ken, can you read the notice for 13 at 113 Highland Avenue?
The Malden Planning Board will virtually and remotely hold a public hearing at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020, on the petition of Maldex Limited Partnership, WS Asset Management, Inc., for a special permit under section 12.12.030 of Chapter 12, Revised Ordinances of 2020 of the City of Malden, to allow retail sales use with 5,000 square feet or more gross floor area of property in the Highway Business Zoning District, namely a grocery store containing approximately 9,000 square feet at 11 Highland Avenue at the property known as and numbered 1 through 13 Highland Avenue, Malden, Mass., also known as Town Line Plaza, and by City Assessor's Parcel ID number 042-213-321.
Thank you, Ken. And as I mentioned before, Charlie Ferguson will be participating in this hearing and not Risa Gray. Is the petitioner present?
Yes.
Yes. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Hannah Foley on behalf of Maldex Limited Partnership. I reside at 411 D Street in Boston, Massachusetts.
Thank you, Ms. Foley. Do you want to describe what you're petitioning for?
Sure. We are seeking a special permit to allow retail sales greater than 5,000 square feet in the Highway Business Zoning District for a local market to take a vacant 9,012 square foot space that will be in between the existing Armatron and Dollar Tree spaces. This space in particular has been vacant for almost 12 years. It was last occupied as an office space for the Mass Commission for the Blind. It has historically been really challenging for us to lease given its unique configuration. So we're really excited to bring this new and highly desired use to the property to activate the space and drive additional foot traffic for the existing businesses at the plaza. The tenant is Foodland.
Foley, excuse me. You're
Yep.
fading in and out. Is that something you're noticing on your end, or?
I'm not. I can try to get closer to my computer. Is this better?
A little bit. Why don't you give that a try?
Do you want me to start over or?
No, you can pick up where you were.
Okay. The tenant is Foodland Market, which is a local family-owned and operated market who specializes in the sale of ethnic grocery items, fresh meats, and freshly prepared foods. They have 3 existing locations, 2 small shops in Dorchester and Burlington, and they have a 3rd location on Massachusetts Avenue in Cambridge. And this new Malden location will replace the existing Cambridge location as their lease is up, and they were looking to get a larger footprint. The Cambridge store has been their highest producing store, so they're really excited to bring this use to Malden to promote local business and jobs. We are also really excited about this use, especially during the time right now with COVID, to bring another essential business to the plaza, and particularly to work with a local operator who will bring jobs to the community and also serve the diverse population of Malden. In speaking with the tenant earlier this week, they're really excited to get this moving forward. They've had their eyes on Malden for a long time. 2 of the 3 siblings who run the business live in Malden. And we believe it's a really good complementary use to the existing tenants at the plaza.
Okay, and what changes? Can you describe the layout, the hours of operation, how many staff will be on at any given time?
Sure. So I can walk through the layout first. So it's a pretty straightforward market use. So you walk in and you see 3 checkout counters, followed by dry food storage with shelving, and then cold beverage and refrigerators along the outsides of the spaces. As you work your way through the shelves of dried food, you'll approach the meat and fish shop and freshly prepared food section, which is really what they're known for. And they have a lot of demand for the meat cutting section, where they do all freshly prepared, made to order food and meat. So they have provided a seating and waiting area, as they often find a long line at their current locations. They have a small kitchen to help accommodate that freshly prepared and meat section. And then working your way into the back of house space, they have a large walk-in cooler for the food, as well as an employee area and restrooms and a walk-in freezer. And then when you work your way down to the loading area and delivery and staging area.
Could you expand more on the prepared food? And will people be eating at the 4 tables?
I don't believe they will be, the intent of the tables is not to be an in-house dining area. It is more to just serve people and as they want to wait for their food so that they have a place to sit, so that they don't have a long line queuing.
Okay, and how does that work? Can you describe that a little bit more? Do they take a number?
I'm
Give their
not,
order and then sit down and wait until the order's prepared?
I don't know if they necessarily take a number, but yes, I believe they go up and they'll place their order. And then while the food is being prepared, they'll have, multiple employees working on preparing different orders at the same time. So while people are waiting, they can sit down and wait for their meat to be cut or their freshly prepared food to be made.
So with this freshly prepared food, is the anticipation that people will carry it out? Or is there a potential use of these tables to consume the food inside the premises?
The majority of the time, people will be taking it out along with the groceries that they'll be purchasing in the store. But I suppose there is the potential that someone could eat the food at one of these tables. But that is not the main goal of the tables, which is just to serve as a waiting area for customers and overflow from the freshly prepared food section.
Okay. What are the hours of operation?
Per their lease, they are required to operate 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays.
And how many people will be staffing the store?
I believe it'll vary as they find their peaks throughout the day, but the owner told me that he'll be hiring at least 15 new employees to support this store.
Do you know if that's currently what they're utilizing in Cambridge?
It's more.
Yeah. Cambridge is more? Is Cambridge a bigger store?
No, I apologize. They're going to hire more employees to support the Malden location because this is a larger store than they currently have in Cambridge.
Okay. For the meat and fish, will any of it be live before it gets here? Is there going to be any butchering on the site, or is it just?
It will not be live, but there will be cutting of the meat on premises. Yes, because they don't want to serve any pre-packaged meat, so they do all made to order. So you go up and you say exactly how you'd like your meat prepared, and they cut it for you on site.
Okay, and I see there's a loading dock in the back for deliveries. Is that where all deliveries will be coming in? Will there be any deliveries coming through the front door?
No, all deliveries will be going through the back, which is located next to the existing Armatron loading dock, in that back parking lot behind the restaurants.
If I could,
Yes,
Mr.
go ahead.
Chairman, today, there was a discrepancy in the floor plans. The original floor plan submitted only showed approximately 7,300 square feet, but the leased area plans showed 9,000 square feet. So the plan that is in the package that's stapled is not the plan. The new plan was received today. It's called Echo Modern Architecture LLC. It's by a different architect. It's this plan, so that's not the plan that you picked up the other day. So just to make sure, it's this, most of it's the same layout, but there's a couple differences And I don't know if the petitioner can walk you through those changes. I did have a chance to review them, and updated the
Can you take us through what the changes might have been, Ms. Foley?
Sure, yeah, so the original plan that was submitted had an incorrect depth of the space. So it just got longer, so they just added in another row of shelving for dry goods, foods. But that's really the only material change that happened. The overall layout stayed the same in terms of the circulation pattern, with the meat and fish shop in the back and the kitchen. So it was really just because it grew in size, they added an additional row of shelving.
Okay, now, one thing I'm not seeing, and perhaps it's in the staging area, is how are you gonna handle waste and garbage? Is there a dumpster that will be associated with this petition?
Yes.
I don't see it here in the location that has any dumpsters or trash or.
Yep, the dumpster will be located, if you walk out of that delivery area into that parking lot, they'll have a dumpster located in the corner of the building there, outside in the parking lot.
Does it exist right now?
It does not, because the space is vacant. There are other dumpsters for the existing tenants in that area, but with the new use, it will require a new dumpster for their waste.
Okay. And I see the restrooms here. Is that for the patrons or is that for employees? The men's, women, the women's room?
I believe they will be for the patrons as well as the employees.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the petitioner? Michelle, anything for the petitioner?
well, I had a question, speaking of dumpsters. None of the dumpsters on site are screened. And that's been an issue at the site, the screening. Is there a reason that they're not screened? Or you understand that you'll be required to screen them?
Yes.
There are dumpsters.
Yep. So we do have in our current plan that we're working on for our 2021 operational budget, a plan to screen all of the dumpsters. So that was something that I wanted to address from the report that we received last night. And the conditions is that we do plan on installing screens around all of the dumpsters on site, but just ask that, we want to be thoughtful in the design and logistics and strategically where we place those, because they'll obviously be fixed. So we're looking to have those installed in the spring of 2021, just given the season right now. So we'd ask that you allow us until, next spring to get those installed.
Could you expand a little bit more on the kitchen area for me, please? It looks like a pretty extensive operation. There appears to be slices, a tin door oven, 6-burner range, deep fryer. It seems awfully big for something that's just ancillary to the operation.
Yeah, so they really pride themselves on having all freshly prepared foods on site. So when their shipments arrive, nothing is prepackaged or pre-made. So this is similar to the kitchens that they have in their existing Cambridge location, which will just provide them with the opportunity to prepare the food, for their customers in all the different ways that they could be required to.
Do you know what portion of the revenue stream is the result of freshly prepared food?
I do not.
Does anyone else have any other questions for the petitioner? No. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add to the presentation, Miss?
I would like the opportunity to speak to some of the other conditions that were laid out in the initial report, but you know, if this isn't the best time to do that, we can wait until the end.
Is it a lot of them or a specific one?
It's a few quickly.
Okay, if you want to briefly raise the ones you have a concern with.
Sure. So hang on, I'm just pulling up my notes. So similarly to the dumpster enclosures that we're looking to install next year, and we'll be working on the design and layout for those over the winter. The bike rack storage that has been requested, we'll also put on our plan for next spring. So would similarly just like to tie a time frame to that enables us a little bit more time to plan strategically for those and get those installed for next spring. Condition 9 about installing and maintaining 24 trees on the property. So I did go visit the site this afternoon and was able to observe that we have 24 trees located on the Malden side of the property. So we can identify those on the site plan that was requested depicting landscaping and snow storage areas, because I know that the survey that I submitted is a little outdated in terms of what trees are actually on site. So when we submit the required site plan showing the landscaping areas, we'll identify those 24 trees to show that we're currently complying with the requirements.
Is that it?
I also just wanted to take the time to address the comment about trash and litter at the property. I know and I understand that it's been a big issue at our property in the past. We did just do some recent reorganization internally. So now I personally will be responsible for both the development and the operations of the property. And it's my main priority for the property moving forward to clean it up. So I just wanted you to know that that's, you know, totally on my radar to do, and we'll get this under control.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anything else you'd like to add?
That is all.
Thank you very much. At this point, we'll entertain anyone who would like to speak in favor of this petition. Anyone speak in favor? Michelle, do you have anything to read in favor?
Yes, I have two letters. One dated September 23rd, 2020. It reads, Dear Mr. Iovan and Planning Board members, I apologize that I will not be able to attend the meeting tonight. However, I'm asking that the following letter be read in the record in support of the petition of Maldex Limited Partnership with special permit to allow retail sales with 5,000 square feet or more gross floor area of property in the Highway Business Zoning District, namely a grocery store containing approximately 9,000 square feet at 11 Highland Avenue at the property known as the number 1 to 13 Highland Ave, also known as Town Line Plaza. I feel there is ample parking in the plaza and that this establishment could benefit the neighborhood. Therefore, as Ward 2 Council, I would like to go on record in support of this petition. Thank you for your consideration of this matter. Respectfully submitted, Paul A. Condon, Council Ward 2. We also have a letter dated September 23rd, 2020 that reads, Dear Mr. Iovan and Planning Board members, it is with much regret I inform you I may not be able to attend tonight's meeting due to prior commitment. I've received the notice of the Planning Board meeting for the public hearing on the petition of Maldex Limited Partnership WS Asset Management Incorporated for a special permit under section 12.12030 of chapter 12 revised ordinances of 2020 of the city of Malden to allow the retail sales use with 5,000 square feet or more gross floor area of property in the Highway Business Zoning District, namely a grocery store containing approximately 9,000 square feet at 11 Highland Ave, the property known as the numbered 1-13 Highland Ave, also known as Town Line Plaza. I would like to go on record as being in favor of this petition. I feel there is ample parking in the Town Line Plaza for this business, and I'm not aware of any neighborhood opposition to this application. Thank you for consideration on this matter. Respectfully, Craig Spatafora, Counselor at Large.
Thank you, Michelle. And the last check for anyone speaking in favor. Seeing and hearing none, declare that part of the hearing closed. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone in opposition? Michelle, do you have anything to read in opposition?
No.
Seeing and hearing no one in opposition, declare that part of the hearing closed. Michelle, can you take us through your staff report, please?
Yes. So the property known as Town Line Plaza is located partially in Malden and partially in Medford. So the Malden portion is approximately 6.4 acres. It's a site of 3 singles. In Medford is 4.5 acres. The property is a site of 3 single-story principal buildings. You have the one known as 7-15 Highland Ave, which has restaurants, retail sales, and manufacturing. 1 Highland Ave, retail services and restaurants. 285-295 Middlesex Ave, Medford. So that's the second building. Has 2 addresses: part Malden, part Medford. And then the 283 Middlesex Medford building, which is the Dunkin' Donuts in Medford. So you heard the subject of the petition is actually known as 13 Highland Ave. You heard about the market. The following plans were submitted. They're detailed here in the staff report, which is incorporated here and by reference. I won't read everything. You are, though, I will note, looking at the floor plans that are called floor plan general notes finished schedule and floor plans equipment schedules. Foodland Market, Town Line Plaza, Malden, both dated September 21st, 2020, prepared by Echo Modern Architecture LLC, Boston, Mass. Those are the ones that you should be reviewing for consideration. Elevation plans, lease plans, etc. The traffic information. This is all incorporated by reference into the record. The property is located in the Highland Business Zoning District. The proposed retail sales greater than 5,000 square feet of gross floor area is allowed by special permit. The other existing businesses are allowed by right or by special permit. The industrial use manufacturing is allowed by special permit. Some of them are the subject of variances and special permits. Some predate the ordinance and considered pre-existing non-conforming. For information regarding current tenants and existing occupancy, there's a lease plan that was submitted. It's got the names of all the tenants written in color on them. You can see that in your package. There's also a table listing of tenants. That's in an email dated September 21st, 2020 from petitioner. Direct abutters are a multifamily residential dwelling, motor vehicle repair shop, fast food restaurant with drive-through to the west, general offices and medical center to the north, general offices, manufacturing warehouse to the east, and building construction contractors to the south. The industrial 1 zoning districts abut to the north and east. The residence B zoning district abuts to the west. Surrounding lanes are industrial, business, and residential. In terms of dimensional controls, the property is considered pre-existing non-conforming because there are multiple principal buildings on one lot. The proposal does not increase dimensional violations or create any new non-conformities. Existing and proposed use of the portions of the property in Malden require a total of 362 vehicle parking spaces, parking for 10 bicycles, and 11 loading spaces. This particular proposal requires 36 parking spaces and 1 loading bay or space. The site plan submitted depicts approximately 600, and those are that's for the Malden site, 362. Site plan submitted depicts approximately 696 spaces located throughout the entire site. 307 are located entirely in Malden. It's good that we'll be receiving an updated site plan petitioner mentioned. There are 25 spaces that are located behind building 1. They're not accessible. They're in a chain link fenced in area. I was out there today as well. There's actually several storage containers there with pallets. So that's not used for parking, even though parking is shown on the plan. So that they should really submit a current parking plan as well. Required snow storage is not depicted on the plan either. Landscaping, 24 trees are required. The site plan doesn't reflect existing conditions. I was out there, as I said today, there are many trees out there. I did not count them, but they do need to show the 24 trees that are required. Most dumpsters are not screened. I said actually previously all. The one in front of the manufacturing is partially screened with shrubs. They must be visibly screened and enclosed. This proposal does not require traffic impact study per the board's recently amended rules and procedures. We have an email from the city engineer, Yen Lip, dated July 28th, 2020. That's in your package. That confirms no traffic study is needed, even though they were at the near the 60 threshold of the rule requiring a traffic study. Do people have questions? You want me to go on?
Doesn't appear to be any questions if you go with the recommendation.
So the findings you need to make to grant a special permit, any creation or increase in violations of dimensional controls of parking requirements will not be more detrimental to the neighborhood. 2, the traffic and traffic patterns generated by the proposed use will not adversely impact any of the surrounding streets or create a traffic safety hazard. 3, the proposed use will not be more detrimental to the neighborhood. 4, the proposed use is not in conflict with surrounding land uses. And 5, the proposed use is in the interest of the common good. The recommendations made prior to the public hearing, provided that the board makes the required findings, that a special permit be granted subject to the following conditions. 1, the special permit expressly authorizes only retail sales with an accessory seating waiting area for prepared foods. Any accessory or principal restaurant use is prohibited. I would recommend you consider also adding no dining allowed, takeout only. If you think that might become a concern.
Yeah, if you could do that.
Okay. 2, all development shall be as per plans, except as modified by these conditions. Only minor modifications of the floor plan are allowed. Any increase in seating or expansion of kitchen facilities shall require an amendment of this special permit. 3, any sale or service of alcoholic beverages is prohibited. 4, any sale of tobacco, tobacco products, or related accessories is prohibited. 5, comply with all conditions, requirements of a plan review by Board of Health and obtain all necessary permits from Board of Health. 6, provide bicycle parking on site for a minimum of 10 bicycles.
Can you add by May 1st, 2021?
May 1st?
Yes.
Okay, screen all dumpsters on site.
By May 1st, 2021.
7, excuse me, that was 7. 8, submit a site plan depicting required snow storage areas and landscaping, including 24 trees on Malden side. I think it should say a current as-built parking plan. So it'll say submit a site plan with current as-built parking plan depicting required snow storage and landscaping, including 24 trees on Malden side. Or submit a site plan, submit a current site plan depicting existing parking. Maybe that's what it should say. Current site plan depicting existing parking, required snow storage and landscaping, including 24 trees on Malden side. So then I eliminated 9. 10 becomes 9. Immediately upon issuance of the special permit, remove all litter, debris, and trash from all areas of the property. Begin to perform daily trash and litter management of entire property. When I was there this afternoon, there was a ton of trash, debris, mix, litter in most of the landscaped areas, sections of the parking lot. There was a lot of it. It was noticeable. I walked the entire site, behind the buildings, in front of the buildings. There was a lot of debris and litter. 10, All prior special permits and variances in effect for the property and all conditions thereof shall remain in full force and effect. 11, install, repair, replace sidewalks and driveways and perform necessary incidental work adjacent to the property to the satisfaction of the DPW director.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Michelle? Any questions? Is there a motion?
Not for Michelle, but just in general about the items 6 and 7. Do we really want to give the occupants, give them the approval and with the promise that they're going to do the parking in the enclosure? When the enclosures are already required in the document. And if we say, if we give, if we approve it, come May, they don't do it, the operation's already going to be up and running and we have no recourse to get them to do it. We can leave it as is, but that's just my thought, especially, they're obviously not maintaining the property as it is in terms of the trash and the debris and the landscaping as it is.
No, that's a fair point.
And if they want to redo it again in the spring, they can put in temporary bike racks, and put up temporary shields for the dumpsters. They don't have to make it permanent right now, but they can improve it in the future if they want it.
Fair point. If you want to change that, make a motion.
Well, nobody made any motion yet.
What's that?
Nobody made any motion.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Does Eric want to change 6 and 7 and then?
I'll make the motion to grant it, restoring 6 and 7 to as originally written by Michelle.
So
And then-
with no date attached.
No date attached. And then all of the conditions as listed, as amended by you.
So that was a total of 11 conditions.
Yep. Okay, Eric's made a motion for recommendation to staff, correcting 6 and 7 back to what was originally supplied by the planning staff. Is there a second for it? Tawadage? Second by Tawadage. If a roll call vote, and please speak loud and proud.
Ken Antonucci,
Yes.
Diane Schuha,
Yes.
Charles Ferguson,
Yes.
Patrick Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Tawana Selassie,
Yes.
Patrick Hayes,
Yes.
Eric McCush,
Yes.
Henry Susie,
Yes.
Chuck Idelman.
Yes. The petition has been granted with conditions. Thank you very much. Okay, so next item on the agenda is advisory recommendations to city council regarding special permits.
Regarding those two, 1130 Eastern Ave, which is a petition for special permit for a marijuana establishment that includes manufacturing, cultivation, and retail. That is temporarily on hold at the request of the petitioner, so no public hearing has been scheduled on that, so that is still in process.
Yeah.
And regarding 7 Linehurst Ave, that petition is scheduled for public hearing. That is for a proposed marijuana retail establishment. That is scheduled for hearing later in October, so we will review that at our October 14th meeting.
Very good. Ken, can you give us a quick update on Community Preservation Committee?
Last meeting, I'm not sure if we covered the last meeting or not, but we have a new chair, Lisa Solda. Hired an admin for CPC, so that'll go a long way in helping process things and keeping things on track. Aside from that, there's been some changes in the application procedures that were noted. So we have basically 6 applicants that need to redo their applications in conjunction with the city. City departments were working on that, and just general review of all the procedures, plans, things like that, to, make sure we get everything up to speed. There are a lot of new members on the CPC now that have just come on in the last several months. So just trying to regroup and get everyone on the same page. I believe that's it. There's going to be, it's actually going to be a public information meeting in October. I don't recall the date offhand, but it's pretty much it for right now.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, Broadway corridor plan study update, if you have one.
No update. We are waiting for the final report
Very good. How about inclusionary zoning?
that we meet twice a month. That work is ongoing. You will hopefully see some zoning amendments that come out of that group that the council will be considering. If they move them forward, it will come to this board for joint public hearing.
Very good. Mayor's working group. to
I'm
review-
sorry, yeah, and I misspoke. That was the update for the mayor's working group that I just gave.
Okay.
Jumped ahead, sorry. The Inclusionary Zoning Advisory Committee is still working with the consultant. The consultant's preparing a feasibility report so that a proposed inclusionary zoning amendment can be put forward. So,
Who's the consultant on that?
it's a group. The name just flew out of my head. I'll have to.
Is it
check that
someone
for
we've
you.
seen before?
No,
Okay.
but it's someone, actually, the person that runs the consulting group used to be a city planner. I'm not sure if it was I forget what town, but he's worked in this area before. And he's worked on that group is partnered with a financial group that are preparing essentially a model so that, the city can use it to determine what's the appropriate percentage, what the impact on development is, if affordable units are required, depending on what level of affordability, et cetera. It's a financial model and policies they'll be recommending. Again, that would get used to put together the zoning ordinance.
Thank you.
I'll get you the name, go back next time.
Next meeting is Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. Following month, November. The second Wednesday is November 11th, which is Veterans Day. We don't want to have a meeting on Veterans Day. However, a further complication is the other Wednesdays are taken by other people or other boards and commissions. So what I'd like folks to do is, if you could have a look at your schedule, see if you can meet the 12th, which it would be a Thursday night, or what was the other one? We're thinking the 18th?
Well, the 18th is a Wednesday. It would have to be the 19th.
The 19th.
Because Tuesday's a council night. I don't think we would do it on a.
So the 12th and the 19th. Check your schedules over the next couple of days. Probably not tomorrow since City Hall is closed on Friday now. But beginning of next week, Michelle will send a note out. So if people could check by beginning of next week and see what your availability might be. Fortunately, we have two associate members if we need to draw upon them. But we did want to let you know that November, there's complications in meeting on a Wednesday, which is one of our normal nights. And given the fact that we were off, not meeting for 4 or 5 months, we do have some hearings in the pipeline. So if we can, we don't want to miss November if we can help it. Because then the next month, we get into December, and then I think it's
December
the
9th. December 9th would be our December meeting.
And if we don't meet in November and tried to have 2 in December, that would be the 9th and 23rd. And that's cutting a little close to Christmas and the holiday week and stuff like that. So when Michelle sends a note out, if you could respond with what days you can make it or not make it, that would be very helpful. So we can plan ahead, reserve rooms if we have to. People are liking the great work that Ron Cochran and Paul Hemmersley are doing. And so they're taking advantage of their skills in helping run some of the other public hearings and public meetings that need to take place. Michelle, anything else on your end?
No.
Anyone have any questions or anything? Motion to adjourn? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Enjoy.